Next up, the hydraulic line goes into the top of the right-hand side suspension, around the back, and into the bottom of the left-hand side suspension. We can then put the bolts in to tighten this up because this is really high-pressured fluid, so we don't want any of these coming off. And that same hydraulic line on the right-hand side will connect to the hydraulic line which runs from the front of the suspension to the back of the suspension. And after all this, they still use the old-school anti-roll bar, which I need some drop links for. And this is actually made by back, and it also looks like they make the springs for the suspension as well. This is where it gets even more expensive if it wasn't already. £2,000 a rear brake disc. Had to buy two because mine were broken. Carbon discs are great unless you have to replace them, then they're not so great. On goes both rear carbon brake discs. The only car I've experienced with carbon brake discs was the GT3 in America, and it was absolutely unreal. The hotter the brakes got, the better they stopped. It's going to get a little tricky again. So on the McLaren, it has a rear brake caliper, but then it has a separate rear brake caliper for the handbrake, which is electronically controlled. Problem is with mine, the electronically controlled bit is broken. On eBay, the only thing I can find is the actual rear caliper, not the handbrake mechanism. This part number on the top here is a McLaren part number. That's not going to be any help, but if we look round, to this part number on here, this is the Bosch part number. Now I've Googled that part number. I can see that same handbrake is used on an Aston Martin Vantage, an Alfa Romeo, and a Maserati Ghibli. Issue is, none of those are particularly cheap, so it might look like I'm gonna have to call McLaren for the handbrake mechanism. But if any of you guys know any different, let me know in the comment section below. But none of that is gonna stop us from driving it. We do still have rear brakes, just not handbrake. Now we're almost on the finishing touches to be able to get this car running and get it running up to temperature. One thing that's needed is of course the radiator, and that's what I'm fitting now. It mounts to the side of the car here, along with the aircon condenser as well. There's two hoses at the top of the radiator I've got to connect, and one big hose at the bottom. And after that, we're almost good to go. It's a slightly different shade of black, but this is not the colour it's staying. £2,000 for this rear wing. Yeah, the wing was expensive, but these are a little bit different to your normal wing. They are chassis mounted. They actually bolt to the rear frame of the car, so they take a lot of force. And not only that, they're hydraulic controlled. I've first bolted the rear wing to the chassis, and then I've bolted the rear crash bar to it, because after that I can start installing the hydraulic lines. There's two lines which connect into a little T-box here. I'm then installing the secondary air pumps, which I think are just used for emissions. Now you can see both lines come out of the gearbox, run down here into that little T-box I mentioned, and go off right and left. One side goes to the right-hand side of the wing, which I assume is a feed pipe and a return pipe, and then the other side goes to the left-hand side of the wing. I don't know whether if there's some kind of sensor in the gearbox which senses how fast you're going, so then it sends hydraulic fluid up it. I have no idea. Wing is on. Check it out. Up. Down. I'm not sure exactly what fluid it uses. It comes out of the gearbox here, but I have no idea how that works or what that works. I guess we'll find out when we start driving it. I don't think we're going to take it to the speed that this goes up on though. And now it's kind of in the way, so I think we will have to take it off to put the exhaust on. Next up, fluids. Coolant first. I don't think we're going to have a big issue with filling the coolant up because the radiators aren't all the way at the front of the car. So I'm going to vacuum fill it anyway. And we all know how vacuum filling goes.